All right, tonight's September 29th, and we want to welcome you formally to the Squirrel Cage Jail in Council Bluffs, Iowa. Opened in the 1860s, the Squirrel Cage Jail was used as Pottawatomie County's county jail up until the 1960s when it officially closed, and the building next door is now the current jail and police center. This is going to be Nevermore Paranormal's 5th trip to the Squirrel Cage Jail. And as everybody knows, we've captured several EVPs here before. Had a lot of really good experiences. So what we're going to do to start the evening off tonight is we're going to take you on a walkthrough. So as we're tweeting this evening, everybody's going to have the chance to see where we're at.
Come on in, Nevermore Army.
All right, as we walk in, this is going to be home base. This is where we're going to set up our operations. Our DVR camera set up, everything in here. So we're going to be monitoring pretty much all night from there. And just so you have some kind of an idea what it was like to be a prisoner in here, this is what your cell would have looked like. It's like a pie-shaped wedge about 8 feet deep, and at its widest parts about 8 feet wide. So that's what you were stuck in for 30 days. Here we are getting ready to set up our first set of DVR cameras for the evening. Here's a little sampling of some of the other groups that have been here before. Obviously there's a lot of different groups that have spent time here, found a lot of different evidence. Sorry if I'm making you a little seasick. Here's a good example of one of the pieces of contraband that they found here throughout the years. Lots of different homemade weapons, shanks, shivs, everything else you can imagine. So this is the front door, and this is the first floor. As we go up to the second floor, we're going to get to what I feel is probably one of the more interesting areas of the cage. What was interesting about this location is not only did you have the jail that held adult inmates, but unfortunately if you were sent to jail and you didn't have a place to have your kids stay, they stayed in one of these 4-foot bunks. And in this location we've gotten several EVPs of children, including the voice of a small girl. So imagine being in one of these cells as a child. This next room is the jailer's quarters. So this is where basically the warden would have stayed. The concept of the jail is pretty remarkable. There's about 30 jails of similar design that were built in the United States. And the idea is that the jail is built as a giant cylinder, kind of like the cylinder of a revolver handgun. So as you can see, the cages themselves are circular. The entire structure is made to rotate on a pinion, and it never really worked. This was the biggest one they tried making in the United States. This is the 3rd floor. We probably won't spend a lot of time in here. I don't know how much of this you're going to be able to see, but inside this room there's an infirmary. And we've had a couple of decent experiences in here. As you can see, this is run as a museum, so there are mannequins throughout the building. And now up to one of the hot spots. This is the 4th floor.
I forgot the women's quarters. We'll turn on the way back.
Yeah. So on the 4th floor, there's been a lot of reports of objects moving. In this doorway, there's been reports of shadows. And just as we got here, I was walking around upstairs and I heard a whispered voice already. And really that's the main thing that we catch here is EVPs and voices. This is like a document room. This isn't really part of the museum. It's just their document and storage rooms. So that's the 4th floor. We're going to go back down to the 1st floor now, and I'm going to walk you around the actual jail cells. And here's another example of a room. What's this room used for?
This is the women's quarters.
The women's quarters. So yeah, this building is in central downtown Council Bluffs, but there's very little foot traffic outside the building, very little vehicle traffic. And the 4-story building, the walls are about a foot thick. So it's very sound isolated.
Come through here and then go down to the 1st floor?
Yeah. But what makes it unique as a paranormal location is the central jail assembly is all iron and weighs 45 tons, and the building itself is made out of limestone. So from a paranormal aspect, this place is just an enormous Energizer battery.
Here's the winch that they turned us.
This is this rope here is the noose that was used in the last hanging in Pottawatomie County, and as Angie stated, this is Angie. Say hi, Angie. Hi. Yep. This is the crank that was used to turn the entire assembly. So again, the concept was that one jailer could run the entire assembly and let individual prisoners in or out. So we're headed down to the 1st floor so I can show everybody not only the perspective and the size of the jail, but also solitary confinement. So again, here are the jail cells. And I don't know if you guys can make it out on YouTube, but there's names written, and those are about 45 feet off the ground. Prisoners in the later portion of the jail's history were let into this general area during the daytime to exercise and hang out. And what they would do is write their names up and down the walls and up to the ceiling. And one prisoner actually fell to his death from the catwalk up there. So again, this is just to give you some perspective of the size of the jail. Here's another good look at an individual cell. The bunks in here are 6-foot steel bunks. One night last year, I spent about an hour laying in one, and I'll tell you, it was a very miserable hour. So you can imagine spending 30 days. The little cove that you see in the back there, that was actually a toilet. So if you're in late 1800s, early 1900s, Council Bluffs, don't break the law, because you're not going to enjoy it. Here's some more examples of where the inmates had written their names on the walls. And this is the hole. This is solitary confinement. So we're going to walk back here and try to give you some idea. And from wall to wall in here, it's about 24 inches. That's solitary confinement, folks. You're literally.
Go stand in there. Show how small it is.
Yeah.
Not that I could test here.
We're gonna have Angie get in there to give you guys some perspective of how miserable this would have been for people. Again, sorry if I'm making you guys seasick. We're filming this with an iPad, by the way. So hopefully the resolution and everything comes out good. Thanks to the folks at Apple for making their fine products. There's Angie. Angie, go ahead and shine the light up. There you go. That's it. Angie, how tall are you?
5'7".
Okay, so if you're over 5'8", 5'9",
You're gonna have a problem.
you're going to be not only in a coffin that's vertical, but you're going to be having to scrunch down inside that coffin. So if you're going to break the law in Council Bluffs again, don't start trouble when you're in here, because this is just a place of misery. I can't even imagine being stuck in there for more than an hour. So that is the Squirrel Cage Jail. Hopefully that will give you guys some idea throughout the night of where we're at within the jail. And yeah, there's one of our DVR cameras set up. So we're going to be tweeting live all night to let you guys know where we're at in the building, what kind of things we're experiencing, and please send us questions. We're going to try some things throughout the night, so please stay tuned. And again, thanks for being part of the Nevermore Army. Thanks for following at Nevermore Omaha on Twitter. And say goodnight, Nick.